Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video of Father and Son Sports Cards. Today I have a very exciting new segment called Road to the Hobby, where we will take a deep dive into the perspective and views of different individuals within the card collecting hobby. Today I have a wonderful friend, Pierce from Pierce Breaks on Discord, Instagram, and YouTube. He has agreed to be my first interview, and I greatly appreciate his time. We'll be going through questions to get Pierce's views and thoughts on where he started collecting, where he is currently, and where he sees the hobby in the future. So we'll go through his likes, dislikes, and favorite cards, experiences, and so much more. So, whether you are a seasoned card collector or this is a new thing for you, I hope you stick around and find some joy and new information to learn from. So, again, I welcome Pierce. Thank you so much for joining me today and allowing me to do this interview with you.
Thank you very much for having me. I didn't realize I was going to be the first one, so I'm very, very honored to start this off with you.
Yes, sir. And so before I did this video, I did look you up on Discord, and you have been with me in the server for a little over 11 months. So I will consider you an OG, as the server began a little over a year ago. So
Right.
I just want to give a shout out to Pierce that he is one of the many amazing people that I have met in this hobby. Not only the fun that we have, but how receptive he is to helping others, whether it's as simple as a teaching moment, but just the overall sharing that he does. You know, he's learned a lot as I have, and he's never shy to help others learn and enjoy this hobby as it can be.
Yeah, I think when I first joined, you were super helpful to me, super kind, and so I just always want to pass it forward. It's very easy to become jaded in the spaces that we occupy.
Mm.
Certain collectors. There's always someone new collecting. You see a lot of what's the value of this? Is this a good card? All this stuff. So
Classic
it's
question.
yeah, it's very easy to get overwhelmed and whatever with all those. But we've all been there. We've all started somewhere. So
Absolutely.
just wanna always want to pass it forward.
Sure. So I want to start off with a little bit of background information on you. For instance, when did you start in this hobby?
So I seriously started around a year ago, basically when I joined your server. When I first wanted to start doing breaks of my own, I obviously, like a lot of people, just dove in to research and see what was out there, see who was doing what in the space and what the best way to go about doing it was. And one of the places was Reddit, and you guys were very prominent on Reddit because that was right when I guess I didn't realize the Discord server had just started up, so you were probably still in the middle of migrating over, so there was still a lot of Reddit presence.
Yes.
So I reached out to you specifically, and just asked general tips and stuff, and from there it just kind of took off. I mean, I really had no expectations of it. It was just I like opening baseball cards, and I want to open baseball cards, and I want to share those cards with as many people as possible. And it literally, like, the community has been insane, and I've met such amazing and cool people, and it just like every day something happens in the server, in your server, that just is like such a good thing, and it's like reminds you what is the best about this hobby.
Mm-hmm.
It started like way back when I was growing up. Like, my dad gave me a bunch of baseball cards, and you know he was one of those people that didn't know we were in the junk wax era when that was
Mm-hmm.
starting up. So he was like, I got you a complete set of 1990, and that's going to be like your college fund.
If only we knew. I hope you still got to go to college.
Yes.
Despite that.
Luckily, he had other plans.
Yeah, hopefully he didn't abandon the college fund.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's funny.
And I opened it early, you know, as a 10-year-old, and it was in my closet, and I was just like, I want to open the baseball cards.
Mm-hmm.
And he reluctantly agreed, but luckily it wasn't like I was cracking open, you know, a gold mine or anything, so.
So was the 1990 set your first experience of opening packs?
It probably was for baseball cards. I was, you know, so 1990 is my birth year, so that
Okay.
was the significance of that.
Okay.
And like any good 90s kids, I was very, very into Pokemon, and I was also into Digimon, so that was more like my pack opening started in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the 1990 set, when I did crack it open, was my first time really opening a bunch of sports cards.
Okay. I remember 1999 opening day was my first set of cards that I would go to the store. I think it was a comic book store or a Walmart, and I was buying those by single packs. And, you know, honestly, I couldn't even tell you if it was in a hobby box or not. It was just one of those open boxes that was sitting on a shelf. And I just took one and spent some allowance money on it. So that was something that I remember as, you know, my earliest ripping of wax or packs. If you could pick one card, do you think you could remember the first card you ever collected?
I don't know if there's one specific card. I know my dad had a binder that was like the Giants team, and so when I was growing up, JT and Matt Williams were two of my favorite players.
Yes.
And then obviously being a Matt Williams fan, that led me into my D-backs fandom eventually, much to my father's displeasure. But you know, it all worked out. I'm still a Giants fan, but D-backs come first.
Okay, well that's nice to know how you got to be a D-backs fan. And it was Matt Williams going from a Giants player to coaching the D-backs?
No, he was
he played.
Baseman for the D-backs.
Okay, he played there. Okay.
He played, and then he became a coach later on. It was the Matt Williams and Randy Johnson combo.
Okay.
Who didn't love this behemoth that threw ridiculously fast?
The big unit.
Some amount.
Pierce, do you have a specific focus or theme in your collection?
Yeah, one of the first kind of themes/sets that I wanted to go for was heritage, because I really like the vintage design. I really like seeing those vintage designs with the current players specifically. So I was originally looking at a bunch of team sets of like every year for D-backs heritage, and I didn't end up pulling the trigger on that, but I did stumble on the Real One autographs, and so I got really into the red ink Real Ones because those cards are just beautiful.
I have seen your collection of those red ink Real One autos.
Yes. And so part of the reason is that the D-backs were so bad for so long, so there's not that many. It's not too much of a mountain to climb to complete that set. So I'm still working on it. Obviously, the biggest one is the Corbin Carroll rookie red ink right now. There's a few Goldschmidts that still elude me, and my biggest regret is a Didi Gregorius rookie red ink that was numbered to 10, and I was trying to not pay the premium that the guy on eBay wanted, and it got away from me.
Well, being that it's out of 10, you're not going to see a whole lot of them pop up.
Exactly. So it was early on in my journey, and if it popped up again today at that same price, I would not hesitate.
Yeah, and I imagine last baseball season, probably first half, would have been the prime time to jump on the Corbin Carroll opportunity if it came to you that he was struggling the first half, but then his second half absolutely took off, and therefore I would imagine his value went back up.
It did, but I feel like overall his price definitely hasn't come back from his rookie year price, which has been
Sure.
great for me.
Yeah,
Because I've gotten a lot of awesome cards
and I think
cheap.
each year you're gonna have that new hype of the National and American League Rookie of the Year. So we already know that you are a big Diamondbacks collector. Who would you say is the player? Is there a player that you focus on, or do you enjoy collecting more team base?
Um, I think there are three main players. It's Corbin Carroll, of course, Jordan Lawler, and then Ketel Marte is the
Yes.
third one.
Yes.
There's part of it is opportunity. They've all been pretty cheap, especially Marte is one of the big ones for me because he's just been the stud of the team for so long. He's been the anchor since Goldschmidt left, and so I love getting cool cards of his. The downside of the D-backs being bad for so long is he doesn't have a lot of cards
Mm-hmm.
as much as Corbin Carroll and Jordan Lawler recently, so it's kind of a blend of going for those big Marte cards when they pop up and then just finding cool Corbin Carroll and Jordan Lawler cards because there are a bunch of them out there.
Yes.
So just whatever tickles my fancy in that moment, I can snatch it up.
I know you have a very large collection, as I've seen over the year. What would you say is your favorite card in your collection, and why is it so special to you?
Um, my favorite card. There's probably so I have two cards to answer this. My
Okay.
favorite card is the Topps Finest Future So Bright auto of Corbin Carroll
Mm-hmm.
because that was my favorite insert last year. I think it was just a really cool looking. All the players that they got are really good. They're that's the reason they're on the card is they're young, exciting players. So there's just a lot of good players on there, and the most valuable, not necessarily monetarily, but just sentimental and all that stuff, is the Red Ink Corbin 2024 that I have.
Okay.
Because as we talked about, that was the start. The first big undertaking in the hobby was looking for those Red Ink ones. So finally getting a Corbin was really nice, and I really like the Heritage design this year.
Was he in 2023 Heritage?
Yeah, his rookie is 2023, so that's the pricey one.
Do you seek out players that are just on your team and any card that kind of comes across your eyes, or is it something more specific to it's the love of the design, or maybe it's the value of the player? What's your thought process when it comes to collecting cards in your PC?
It's definitely, I would say, the biggest, like the first step, the widest net is, my team or players that I like. For the most part, it's D-backs and Giants, and that's just kind of an economic restriction. If I had unlimited funds, I would be collecting a lot more people. I think, everybody that collects would do the same thing, but that's just the restrictions that we have, is we have to focus somewhat on certain things. So it's focused on D-backs and Giants. It's O'Neal Cruz is still represented a little bit in there. He is just super fun to watch. But in terms of cards themselves, it's definitely the look. And I don't know, there's like a specific design that I love. It's just, if it looks cool to me, then I like it.
Okay.
At its core, I do have the retro nostalgia for the Heritage cards, the Archives cards. I really like.
What about, like, say, the 35th anniversary and flagship?
Yeah.
Is that something that catches your eye? Okay.
I think specifically 2025, I'm really excited for 1990. As we talked about, it's my birth year,
Yeah.
but I also really, I don't know, something about that 90s color block border, just, I'm all about it. Even Archives, the most recent one opening last week, we had the 1994 design I hadn't really seen before, and I ended up really liking that one too. So just something about that 90s aesthetic does it for me.
Now, you've talked about some Corbin Carroll cards that have a hefty price, but what would you say is your quote unquote grail card? Like the card that you haven't gotten your hands on yet, but it's something if you had unlimited funds, regardless if it's maybe the most expensive card out there, but it's we're not talking maybe a Mickey Mantle PSA 10, but let's say it's just what is that grail card that would make you happy if you had unlimited funds?
Yeah, so the biggest one since I started collecting is not super huge, but there's just not a lot of them out there. The 2023 Archives Hobby Masters auto of Corbin Carroll is
Yes.
that's it's weird to say grail because when you're looking at comps and stuff, it realistically should only be like a $200 or $300 card, but there's just
Out of 23, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's not a lot out there, so it's definitely a seller's market.
I could believe you that is a difficult one to find with such a short print run.
Yeah, and then I would say another one just for being a baseball fan, being a Giants fan, would be a decently graded Willie Mays card.
Yeah.
I don't need a rookie or anything like that. Just like a nice SGC 5 or 6 that has good eye appeal.
Yeah.
That would be really cool to have.
We're going to take a little bit of a pivot here, and we're going to look into the buying and selling aspect of the hobby. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Pierce, and I'm going to ask you, what's the most you've ever spent on a single card? What was the card, and was it worth it?
So this is another two-part answer because the most I've spent on a card is $200 for the Ketel Marte 2024 Heritage Superfractor, but
Wow.
I haven't received it.
Oh no.
And I'm waiting for it to ship.
So this is recent.
For a tracking number.
This is recent.
This is recent.
Okay.
So I have spent the money, but
Okay.
I don't know if it's worth it because I don't have the money.
That's quite all right. To be determined.
Exactly. But the second most would be, I think, is 150 was the Corbin Carroll.
Okay.
I think, Heritage. Not too crazy. I think it's tough because I try to collect and buy singles, keeping future value in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Especially where the hobby is now with the rookie hype and stuff. I just look at a card like one of the cards I would like to get eventually is a Paul Goldschmidt Bowman First, and those can be had for $200, and he's like, I would say 75% chance to make it to the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And you can get a modern future Hall of Famer for that price, or you can spend like $1,000, $2,000 on like an Ellie De La Cruz or whoever.
Right.
The hype
Who has a very long time before we ever even talk about a Hall of Fame career.
Exactly. So I think 150 for a non-rookie auto is a little steep, but for a red ink auto, as long as his career continues on the trajectory he's on, I think it'll be a good investment for Corbin.
Well, if you find that crystal ball, feel free to share it with the rest of us.
Exactly.
So you already talked about adding cards as an investment or just a fun addition to the collection. So I think you have, I'll say from a personal perspective, I think you have a great mindset for not just throwing money at a hyped player, although sometimes we break those rules when Paul Skeens is a big deal for me being an LSU guy. Sometimes we break those rules for the ones that mean the most. But as you said about Ellie, you're you're smart about not throwing money at a player that he's hyped right now, but we don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. He has all the tools to be that Hall of Famer, and it could be a huge investment if he were to continue to be amazing, if not get better. But as we just said, neither one of us has that crystal ball to make that decision. So, we do the best we can, and we try to enjoy the hobby with the players we can afford.
Yeah, exactly.
And we see the long term talent, and don't. And even if the player doesn't pan out to be what we hoped for, at least we know we can continue on with our lifestyles, and the family doesn't suffer.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you give me a little bit of your experience buying and selling?
I would say primarily how I add to my collection is buying singles and breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, I'll do. I won't go crazy with it, but I'll typically, if D-backs stay open in one of my breaks, I'll just take them and close it out. Or if they're in one of your breaks or one of the other people on Instagram or something or Reddit or wherever, if I'm interested in the set, I'll jump in a break. But primarily, it's singles, and I don't really rip a ton of personal wax or personal hobby boxes or anything like that. On occasion, I get the urge, but part of why I started breaking in the first place was to resist those urges
Sure.
and get that fix of opening cards through breaking.
While
So,
also getting to an opportunity or opportunities to chase your personal collection or team.
exactly.
So that was one of the reasons I got into breaking as well, was not spending hundreds and thousands of dollars over the course of a year to rip every product that came out, when really I just want Braves cards, or an LSU guy that plays for another team.
So on the other side of that, I do enjoy selling, and my dream is to like hit a huge card and put it up at a 99-cent auction on eBay, because you know part of what we talked about way in the beginning of people saying, what is this card worth? The easy
Mm.
answer is always put it up for a 99-cent auction and see what happens. Find out what it's worth.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Even I haven't done that. Doing this for 2 years and selling singles, buying and selling singles, I still haven't mustered the confidence to put a card up for a 99-cent auction.
Yeah.
My anxiety will not allow me to, just mostly out of fear, because I know personally how easy it is to try to snipe a card for less than what it is, currently selling as at a fixed price.
Yeah, so I've done. That's another thing I've done to scratch that itch. Is sometimes I'll do like consignment, for lack of a better word, for people in my breaks. So I'll
Okay.
list cards for them, especially some of the Canadians, so they don't have to,
Oh, okay.
deal with all the hassle of selling internationally and all that stuff. So I'll do consignments for them, and it's fun. But we did see, the negative of that. I had a 2024 Stadium Club Colton Cowser red auto that ended at auction. We did a 99-cent auction, and it ended at like 60. And I think
Oh,
we
wow.
were anticipating it to go a little higher than that.
Okay.
But it is what it is. So
Absolutely. I personally did one consignment after a new release. I don't even remember. I think it was a flagship product, Series 1 or 2. But the individual asked me, can you just go list it on eBay now? Because it was already selling for well over what it would have realistically been in a month or two. It was
right.
just that first day, first week hype, and the card sold immediately.
Jeez.
Um, it may have been the next day. It
Yeah.
sold.
Wow.
And again, I don't remember what it was, who it was, but that was the only time I've ever done a consignment for someone.
Right, and that's the main reason to do it, because we're the ones who have the cards.
Yeah,
There's just that new set hype. It's hard to beat that bump when you have the first card or first, second, or third card to the market. With
absolutely.
something that's super hyped.
So, talking about ripping and new products, at the time of this recording, we just had the pre order for 2025's first flagship of the season, Series 1. What, and you personally just ripped, what, last week was the new release of Topps Archives. And so, what is a product that you have or will soon be ripping that you are looking forward to doing the most?
I am really looking forward to 2024 Bowman's Best. It's one of those sets that may not have the hype and the value of, Bowman Chrome, Bowman Draft, any of those cards. It's not an official Bowman First, or, well, I think they are. They have some rookie cards in there, but they're just really cool cards.
Yeah.
The base design is really cool. The parallels, the inserts, all the stuff is really well done, and it's one of the higher end. It's like mid end set, I guess. And so that's like the sweet spot for me. Sets like Bowman's Best, Finest, those type of cards that are that second tier up. They're not like unobtainable $500 boxes of like the higher and above tiers.
Yeah, we've seen Bowman Draft will go to a single box will go $500-$800 depending on whether it's a hobby or a jumbo. How's the checklist look for Bowman's Best?
It's really solid. I mean, that's the other reason I like it is because you get those mix of the stars and the rookies and even the hyped prospects. So it's just really fun. And from a checklist perspective, you have a little bit of everything. You have the solid guys currently, and you have the potential guys that you can try to get in on the ground floor.
We've taken some time to talk about your history and what brought you into the hobby. We've talked about where you are currently with it, but let's talk about in the future and those trends that we've been seeing over the last number of months and coming into 2025. Just before we begin with spring training approaching and the beginning of the 2025 season, what do you hope to see happen in the hobby going forward?
It's tough because, there's the what in an ideal world, what do I want to see happen in the hobby? Do I think any of it is realistic? I don't know. But it would be nice to see prices normalize. It's very frustrating when a set releases and the MSRP, quote unquote, is $130, and then as soon as it's released, all the secondhand markets, it sells out immediately on Topps, and everywhere else has it $50 higher at minimum, if not more. And so it's just, as a collector, it's really frustrating to see that and the state of the hobby in that way, and it just limits it for so many people. And that's one of the nice things about doing what we do is we're able to get cards into the hands of people that may not be able to afford it otherwise. But it's still such a steep price for some of these products, and especially once you get into the highest tier, it's like $500 for 3 cards or whatever it is, and so there's not even a good way to break that really, because you're not really saving anyone money at that point either. So it would be nice. I don't know how realistic it is as long as Fanatics is at the reins, but going kind of hand in hand with that is I would like to see increased quality control across the board, from checklists to odds to the cards themselves. There's just so many little things and so many big things that happen that it just makes you wonder how they can happen in an operation this big and that makes this much money.
Right, and I think you brought up an excellent point in something that I'll say irks me as well, as someone that is trying to do these nonprofit breaks at the best price we can possibly get them at, and as you said, as soon as top sells out, the prices skyrocket within the secondary market. And it's not just those that are selling on eBay; it's the distributors that they. Again, I get it. There's the demand is with so many breakers, whether they are you know certified or licensed by Fanatics, or that's Whatnot, or TikTok, Instagram, whatever it may be. Discord, third party like us. You know, there's so much demand on for these products that these guys will see every opportunity to make an extra dollar. And I get it. And, I've played the game as well because, well, if you can't beat them, join them. I just don't
Right.
do it nearly at the rate that these guys do, because it 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 makes it very difficult to enjoy the hobby when you want to buy something like a Cosmic Chrome or a Finest, a Pristine. Those are products that I never could afford by myself, but they're so much fun.
Right.
We're not making money off of ripping and selling. We're just enjoying the hobby, and we want to do it for a reasonable price that the average Joes, that work 9 to 5 jobs can afford. Where do you see your collection in the next 5 to 10 years, assuming that you're still in the hobby and this the baseball card collecting hobby continues strong? It can fluctuate, goes up and down, but someone like you and I can maybe stay normalized and manage it well. We can stay in this for a long time.
Definitely. It's kind of oxymoronic, but when you gave me the questions, I wrote down I want to streamline it and also continue to grow it at the same time. So it's there will obviously be growth. I mean, there's always going to be good cards. There's going to be old cards that I want to add and all that stuff, but I do want to narrow the focus slightly. I don't think it's too wide at the moment, but I just want to zero in on the best cards for me, the cards that will make me the happiest, the cards that I will want to continue to hold on to, and just not get sucked into every single new release, every single cool autograph that comes out. I really want to
It's
kind
tough
of
though.
keep the themes that I have started with and continue to move along that path, I guess.
What do you think is the best part of being a card collector? Now, for you and I, it's our focus is mostly on baseball, but we can keep it generic. What's your favorite part about being a collector?
I think it's something that we touched on a little bit, but it's 100% the community. I mean, between our two servers, the other servers that we are friends with and work with, the community is just amazing in terms of the kindness and the warmth that everyone has. At the end of the day, we're all collecting cardboard with pictures on them.
Yeah.
Like that's what it comes down to. And there's just so many awesome people that are doing really awesome things within the community. And I unfortunately haven't been able to go out to any shows or anything near me. There have been a bunch that I've wanted to, and timing just hasn't worked out with my personal schedule. But I do want to get out there. I see local content on YouTube and stuff like that where there are people doing really cool things, and just seems like a great space to be in, whether it's Pokemon, whether it's baseball, whether it's football, all that stuff. Everybody is, for the most part, is working together to help people get the cards that they want to have in their collections, and it's really, really cool to see.
That's great. Yeah, I really do hope you have an opportunity to go to these shows. I've met a lot of amazing people, um, big and small, and I follow some of those content creators that do that basically as their living is to go from show to show, and it's amazing to get to see some of their negotiating techniques. Something I've definitely picked up on. I still struggle sometimes seeing a card and like trying to haggle when it's like I'll just pay. If it fits my PC, it's like you know what, it's just gonna stay with me. So the price is the price, and sometimes I'll just kind of forget all of the techniques and things that I've learned. But yet, when it comes to buying a card that I think I can buy and flip, all of a sudden I'm the master negotiator. But no, that's fantastic, and I hope you get that opportunity. My final question for this interview is if you could pick one thing um, to give advice on to a new person in the hobby, a new collector, what would that advice be as something that's very important to know?
The best and most general advice that I can give is to do your research, and that is from the top down. Research checklist, research odds. If you're chasing a specific card, see, is this worth it for me to buy a bunch of blasters to chase an auto that has 1 in 300 blaster odds, and it might not even be, a player that you want? Because if you're just chasing one player, you just have to be aware of what it's going to take to find that one specific card if you just want to rip to get there. Or if you're looking into breaks, do your research. And there are so many people out there, I mean, ourselves included, but all over Instagram, all over Twitter, all over Reddit and YouTube and everything. There's so many people out there, and so just do your research and see who is providing the best value, who is, you know, who are the people that really are in it for the hobby and not just trying to make a buck.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing, and those are the people that are going to continue to grow the hobby in positive ways.
Yeah, definitely surround yourself with good people, good friends, just as we've done.
For sure.
But yeah, very important to do your own research. Even if it's not necessarily Googling something, but search for it on YouTube. There's,
Right.
so many things to learn, whether it's watching other people rip to people negotiating at a card show. It's amazing what you can learn from just watching a video. I wish, that was something we had when we were kids. But now
Yeah,
as
right.
adults, we will absolutely use that to our advantage.
For sure.
So, Pierce, I really want to say thank you for being in this episode and really giving us a terrific insight to where your mind is in this hobby and where you want to see the hobby go in the future. So, before we say goodbye, I'd like to give you an opportunity to talk about what you have going on in your life inside the hobby. Promote yourself, as I know you have a lot of things going on and you're doing wonderful things. So take your time and feel free to talk about it.
I really appreciate you having me. As I said before, it's really cool everything that you're doing in the space in terms of your YouTube channel and your Discord channel, and you and Alex are absolutely killing it. So I'm very, very grateful to be part of the community. And in terms of myself, um, I have my own Discord server that's very similar. I'm not completely, I can't say that I'm not profit, but there are certain breaks that do run non-profit. I would say a minimal profit.
I would agree with
you
that.
know, yeah, you can, as I said, do your research and you can see how much boxes cost and how much my total costs are for breaks. I don't hide anything, so it's very, very easy to see what I'm doing. But I have my Discord server, I have a subreddit, reddit.com/r/Pierce Breaks. I have an Instagram account at Pierce Breaks. I'm on Twitter, but I don't really use it because it's just too much.
I understand.
Ideally, I would have your setup. I would have everything on Discord, but I started on Reddit, and there's a lot of people that are on Reddit that like Reddit a lot. So I want to accommodate them and make sure that they know how much I appreciate them. So I'm not pushing. I'm just silently nudging everyone towards Discord, but we'll see. So I think all the links. Instagram is kind of like the hub that has all the links. Everything really. I mean, Reddit has it. I'm always, plugging the socials. And then recently, with some guys from another Discord server, the Yellow Brick Road Breaks, we have started a podcast called the Yellow Brick Card Show, where we're using our unique perspective as breakers, people who see a ton of product, and just have opinions on everything, to talk about sets as they come out, preview sets before they come out, and just anything else that is relevant to the hobby. We're not giving investment advice. We're not looking at the super high-end, $1,000 cards and all that type of thing. We're looking at what the regular people are opening and wanting to open and how that impacts us. And we're very excited to hopefully have you and Alex on more semi-regularly this year. So yeah, you can look forward to that as well.
So everybody that's still watching, I'll be sure to leave links down in the description below where you can find Pierce and everything that he has going on from the Instagram, Discord, and the podcast, which is fantastic, by the way. You guys are doing an amazing job, and really, really enjoy listening to those episodes. So I look forward to one day getting to do that with a bunch of gentlemen from the West Coast. So it will be a late night podcast recording when I get to do it. But I do appreciate you being here with me, Pierce. And I really wish you the best. And you are doing an amazing job. It's amazing that you and I can do this together without having to make it a rivalry or a competition. It's just amazing to get to share it with you as opposed to against you. You're a great person to share this hobby with. So I can't wait to see what you can do, what we can do in the future. And hopefully we'll be doing this for a long time. We'll eventually get to meet in person and do some meet and greets. That's where I'd like to see this go.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So, everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. I will be making this a new segment a couple times a month, so be on the lookout for this, as we are going to be bringing in new people every time, mostly from our Discord, people that are doing wonderful things in this hobby. So people similar to what Pierce is doing. Until next time, everybody, take care.